It's Wednesday, January 4. In the headlines, locally, homeless still being feted despite end of the Yuletide season. In the region, Guyana made houses helping St. Vincent rebuild after 2021 volcanic eruptions. In business news, stocks start 2023 with a dip as Apple and Tesla shares drag. Internationally, the United Kingdom's healthcare system under intolerable pressure. And in sports, Pele, Brazilian football icon's wake is being held at Santos' Villa Belmiro's Stadium. This is the news on PBC Jamaica. I am Maya Chung. Scores of homeless persons and some of St. Anne's most vulnerable residents were treated to hot meals on Monday, January 2 by correctional officer and philanthropist Donovan Small in collaboration with members of the Bamboo United Pentecostal Church. Mr. Small and his team of 16 volunteers distributed 550 meals across the communities of St. Anne's Bay, Bamboo, Lilyfield, and Philadelphia, and extended the act of kindness to the Mustard Seed community in Monigue and Brownstown. The initiative, which is in its 9th year, was supported by Food for the Poor, Ocherius Jerk Center, and Campbell's Supermarket in Bamboo. Explaining his passion behind the annual feeding program, Mr. Small said that his care and love for the society's most vulnerable gave birth to the philanthropic endeavor which he intends to continue for a lifetime. He pointed out that the effort to contribute to the well-being and welfare of senior citizens, disabled children, the homeless, and mentally ill brings him sheer joy. He urged Jamaicans to embrace the spirit of volunteerism to help positively impact the lives of the nation's most vulnerable. Meanwhile, it was an attitude of gratitude from beneficiaries of the New Year's Day feeding program. And it is now time for the Business Report with Danita Rodney.
Victoria Mutual Investments Limited, VMIL, has acquired over 100 million units of Kingston Properties shares, increasing the VMIL stake to 23%. Reports are that this will give VMIL the opportunity to diversify its real estate investments outside of Jamaica based on Kingston Properties' expansive portfolio in other Caribbean jurisdictions and North America. Now for your market updates. In foreign exchange trading for Tuesday, January 3, the US dollar sold for an average of $152.60. The Canadian dollar ended trading at $110.90. The pound sterling traded for $181.73, and the euro sold for $163.22. In GSE trading, the GSE index advanced by 342 points. The junior market index declined by 38 points. The combined market index declined by 31 points, and the All Jamaican Composite Index advanced by 1,269 points. Overall market activity resulted from trading in 116 stocks, of which 45 advanced, 51 declined, and 20 traded firm. Stocks advanced for AMG Packaging and Paper Company Limited, Cargo Handlers Limited, and Caribbean Assurance Brokers Limited. Stocks declined for Access Financial Services Limited, Barita Investments Limited, and Blue Power Group Limited. Trading firm 138 Student Living Jamaica Limited, Virgin Prince Jamaica Limited, and CAC 2000 9.5% cumulative redeemable preference shares. The overall volume leaders were Trans-Jamaican Highway Limited with over 4 million units, Regency Petroleum Company Limited with over 1 million units, and Pulse Investments Limited with over 900,000 units. In regional stocks, on the Trinidad and Tobago Stock Exchange, zero securities were traded. Zero securities were also traded on the Barbados Stock Exchange. In regional business, in the Bahamas, Prime Minister Philip Davis says the rising cost of living and boosting employment will be the top agenda for 2023 to provide economic relief. Bethany McDermott reports.
Prime Minister Philip Davis laying out those priorities that include tackling inflation and creating job opportunities for residents. When it comes to inflation, he says government is looking to bring more economic relief amid concerns of an increase in electricity rates and fees at the Road Traffic Department.
I do appreciate what people are going through. I feel they're hurt. I see them going to the food stores and not being able to buy what they wish. And we're doing our best to try to bring relief to them.
The Prime Minister's comments come weeks after the IMF said the government's approach to inflation was too broad. Davis also speaking to the National Insurance Fund that's expected to deplete soon if there's no action by the government. Last week, Minister responsible for NIB, Miles Larota, said government will have to make a decision next year concerning the state of the fund, which he says was on target to lose about $70 million last year.
We are still exploring options as to how best to preserve the fund.
Along with providing relief, the PM also committing to providing employment and youth programs.
We're hoping to be able to create more opportunities for Bahamians, to empower them, to better their lives. Definitely make it in doing initiatives to lower the cost of living.
In international business, Wall Street main indexes dropped on the first trading day of 2023 due to heavy losses in Tesla and Apple. More in this Reuters report.
Wall Street's main indexes closed lower on the first trading day of 2023 as investors worried about what the Federal Reserve's rate hiking path might look like this year and a potential recession. The Dow ended about flat, the S&P 500 finished 0.4% lower, while the Nasdaq ended down about 0.75%. Investors are awaiting minutes from the Fed's December meeting for clues about how aggressive the central bank might be with monetary policy tightening this year and whether it might trigger a recession. Dan Wontrobsky is Associate Director of Research at Janney Montgomery Scott.
What's driving the down move in the stock markets today is reassessment on how severe a recession, can be in the U.S. based on what we've seen out of Fed policy thus far. I think traders are starting to reevaluate, how severe the type of recession that the Fed is trying to engineer here. And a lot is going to depend on labor data that comes out, wage gains, employment data, as well as other things like ISM, production, PPI numbers, and of course, CPI. So I think until you get more clarity around that, we could continue to see, higher volatility in the markets and more of kind of this range-bound trading that they're setting us up with today.
Shares of Tesla hit their lowest level since August of 2020, falling more than 12% on Tuesday, extending a steep decline in 2022 after Elon Musk's electric vehicle company missed Wall Street estimates for quarterly deliveries. Energy stocks, which saw stellar gains in 2022, started the year in the red as oil prices fell on bleak business activity data from China. And shares of Apple slumped, closing below the $2 trillion valuation mark for the first time since March of 2021, after a report from Nikkei Asia pointed to weaker demand.
In market data for oil prices tumbled 4% in volatile trade, pressured by weak demand data from China, a gloomy economic outlook, and a stronger US dollar. Brent crude fell $3.81 to $82.10 a barrel, and West Texas Intermediate crude fell $3.33 to $76.93 a barrel. And that was the business report on PBCJ. I'm Danita Rodney.
In regional news, we begin in the Bahamas. Former FTX CEO Sam Bankman-Fried has pleaded not guilty to criminal charges which allege that he cheated investors in his now bankrupt FTX crypto exchange, causing billions of dollars in losses.
The 30-year-old defendant entered his plea through his lawyer to 8 criminal counts, including wire fraud and conspiracy to commit money laundering, before U.S. District Judge Lewis Kaplan in Manhattan Federal Court. Kaplan set an October 2nd trial date. A federal prosecutor, Danielle Sassoon, estimated that a trial could take 4 weeks and said government will soon turn over hundreds of thousands of documents of evidence to defense lawyers. Bankman-Fried is accused of looting billions of dollars in FTX customer deposits to support his Alameda Research hedge fund, buy real estate, and make millions of dollars in political contributions. Bankman-Fried could face up to 115 years in prison if convicted.
Prime Minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Dr. Ralph Gonsalves, during his visit to Guyana on Tuesday, announced that his country will purchase ready-made houses from Guyana to help with rebuilding efforts in St. Vincent and the Grenadines following the 2021 La Soufrière volcano eruptions. We have more from Newsroom Guyana.
For years, Guyana and St. Vincent and the Grenadines have enjoyed good bilateral ties, and over the next few days, the leaders of both countries will discuss several areas of mutual interest. Prime Minister of the St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Dr. Ralph Gonsalves, who arrived in Guyana on Sunday for a 4-day official visit, said that the housing sector is one area he's keenly interested in. This is so because the Caribbean state is still rebuilding from the La Soufrière volcanic eruption in 2021. After a tour of the Diamond Housing Scheme on the east bank of Demerara and the privately owned Duravilla homes, Prime Minister Gonsalves announced that his country will procure houses from Guyana.
We are making arrangements to buy and to have delivered to us by the end of March 50 1-, 2-, and 3-bedroom houses. And you see, we lost a lot of houses during the volcanic eruptions in 2021. And we are building back and we are repairing. But this additional source of houses, which we have the financing and everything already, it would add to a speeding up of the houses which we are replacing.
According to Relief Web, a humanitarian information portal founded in 1996, more than 13,000 people were displaced when the 2021 eruptions were at their peak. For many of those people, particularly those who lived in the dangerous red and orange zones, the eruptions caused damages to their houses and other property. Some properties were outright destroyed. Outside of St. Vincent's need, the Caribbean leader praised Guyana's housing plans, commending both the government and private sector for their efforts at providing low-cost housing solutions to thousands of people.
These prices are certainly better than ours. And broadly speaking, the finish is similar. There are things which the homeowners will have to do, like, for instance, they can choose what ceiling they want to put in.
He opined that once Guyana's needs are met, there's a large Caribbean market for Guyana-made houses. Reporting for the newsroom, I am Vishani Raghabir.
In Grenada, as of February 1, the government will impose a new policy to promote healthy lifestyles and reduce the prevalence of non-communicable diseases, NCDs, in the country. We have more.
Health Minister Jonathan Lacrette says that the policy is being looked at from a health perspective.
Approximately 83% of deaths in Grenada is attributed to non-communicable diseases, with a 23% probability of premature mortality from NCDs. World Health Organization Progress Monitor Report 2022.
Opposition Senator Nealon Franklin, however, says that other preventative measures could have been taken.
I understand the health concerns. I ask, however, can alternative measures be put in place? Can measures such as educating the public on healthier eating and consumption patterns and conduct case studies in partnership with entities like SGU, PAHO, CAFA, to identify the root causes of these non-communicable diseases which affect our citizens? And by doing so, targeted measures can be taken to address the concern rather than, again, ad hoc tax increases.
Health Minister noted that NCDs are weakening economic productivity.
From a social perspective, The budget will enable us to upgrade our primary healthcare infrastructure so that we can control the prevalence of NCDs, whose presence within our healthcare system is weakening economic productivity.
He further stated that the Food and Nutrition Council has collaborated with the Ministry of Education on promotional educational campaigns over the years.
Our people do not listen, Madam President, until they end up in the hospital and a foot must be cut or fingers are lost. So as a government, we sat. We don't sit in cabinet and share makeup tips. We deliberate genuinely for the benefit of our people.
The health minister has cited the need for a more cohesive regional network to strengthen immunity against NCDs in CARICOM and OECS countries. The government has identified the Ministry of Health as a top priority with a budget allocation of $114.2 million. Paul, GBN News.
In news on the international scene, the new Republican majority in the United States House of Representatives has started in disarray, with hardline conservatives blocking Kevin McCarthy from becoming Speaker. After 3 failed votes, the House adjourned, hoping to regroup on Wednesday. It is the first time since 1923 that a vote took more than 1 ballot. Al Jazeera's John Hendren reports.
It was a picture of Republican chaos. For the first time in a century, members had to vote for the Speaker of the U.S. House of Representatives more than once, and still, after 3 times, failed to produce a winner.
A Speaker has not been elected.
A group of dissatisfied right-wing Republicans in the House Freedom Caucus had a list of demands: easy removal of the Speaker, prime committee assignments, and fiscal conservatism. And to highlight them, they banded together to block would-be House Speaker Kevin McCarthy. The day began as it has every 2 years for 200 years. There were nominations.
I rise today to nominate the gentleman from California, Kevin McCarthy.
Hakeem Jeffries of New York.
There were votes.
McCarthy, Jeffries, McCarthy, Jeffries.
But even with the votes counted, no one won. Again and again and again. Inside the Capitol and at the White House, Democrats, including President Biden, watched the embarrassment